Hey, beautiful people, Dr. Lund here. Today, what I've got for you is a video of an interview for the movie The Danish Girl. 3 stars that include Amber Heard are on this interview, but please pay close attention to Amber during the conversation with the other 2 co-stars. And after we review the video, then I will get back to you and give you some of my ideas of what I think what's going on here.
The part, I had no idea how rife discrimination, but also violence against trans people is, particularly for trans women of colour. And it's always, it was a brutal part of the film, but it felt, I think I probably found that sort of middle stage when she's not quite comfortable in her skin yet. That was probably the most tricky for me.
I admire Gerda for being able, that she's able to foresee and see the true Lily quite early on, somewhere deep down there. But then there's this very, heartbreaking scene where she spells out, I just right now want my husband back. And I thought the complexity in saying that, and with Gerda, how I, imagine, the second after she said it, almost, it's a scene where it's a lot of guilt being played out by 2 people who are just above everything, want to connect. And that thing of, she knows that the change, it's inevitable. She's standing in front of the person who's finally becoming its true self, which is her highest wish. And it's just, the way of her trying to find words of explaining, her fear of might, losing the strongest connection she has with her loved one and her partner. And that was the scene that really, jumped off on the page when I read it. And that was tough to explain because in the end, this is a story being told about a journey they do when they don't really have any reference of how to put words on things, how to explain it, and yet they were so strong in believing and trusting the feelings that they had inside, and above all, in the end, wanting to trust each other and support each other.
Okay, there looks to me like there are some very odd behaviors. And again, we don't know what's going on. However, overall, Amber looks significantly out of place during this interview. She doesn't look uncomfortable, but she looks out of place. And the weird thing is, she doesn't know she looks out of place. She looks around at times. She kind of rolls her eyes and looks at the ceiling. She does some odd stare at the director, who is at the podium. And I can't tell if there's eye contact or no eye contact with the director, who's on her left. She also, she is studying her 2 co-stars. Now, Eddie Redmayne doesn't have as much dialogue during this interview as he's describing his character from the movie. But when Elisa, the female co-star, begins talking about her role and what it meant to her and etc., Amber is studying her. She's watching her. She's not listening to her, it doesn't appear like, but she's watching her more than listening to her. And as this woman is talking about the emotional intensity of the movie and the character and the interaction with the characters, you don't see any of that emotional kind of empathy from Amber. She again is just watching the hands of this woman, her mouth. She's kind of looking at her up and down, but she really is not engaged into the discussion about all the emotions that went into this particular movie. At times, she looks very bored. It's odd that she wouldn't be able to even fake an interest, especially for the occasion of this is, a big interview with many people asking questions and the cast describing what went on during the movie and how they got into their roles. And she seems totally disengaged from that whole process. Interesting, on one of the comments from where I got some of these clips, one person asked, why was even Amber on the stage, because she didn't have that large of a role in this particular movie, which is a good question. But I bring up these issues that I notice that she looks so odd and sometimes almost inappropriately disengaged. Is, remember, with certain behavior disorders, there is a lack of identity. And at times you can see people watching how other people express emotion so that they actually learn and mentor from other people to be able to help solidify an identity. But regardless, like I said, it's all speculation, but regardless of what was going on at the time, the one thing I think we could probably agree on is, again, we see her really, really looking, again, out of place with absolutely no insight into the fact that her behavior doesn't fit with the occasion. So, folks, that's what I've got for you on this tape. I appreciate you listening and watching. Love to hear your comments, and please, please like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.